Bible groups, and, fellowships, prayer breakfasts. And they allowed them to the Christian consumer culture, which allowed them to simultaneously embrace faith, modern business techniques, and worldly goods.
So every time on election night you're looking at the electoral map, what does the South pretty much look like?
Red.
It looks red, and they vote Republican. So we're starting to see how all these shifts and changes are starting to make even the political map that pretty much stayed the same for a lot of the past 20 years. And decided or made the Democrats pick 2 Southerners in 1992 for their election, because they hadn't won some of those states without a Southerner for a while. Let's look at some of their ideas. And this is them presenting an opposing view of the United States and how it should deal with mainly these economic issues. No matter what is going on, I would say that the ability to support your family, feed them, provide for them in the best way possible is always going to be the #1 concern. James Carville, who was Clinton's main political advisor, said what, Adam, in 1992, when it came down to issues. Do you remember?
I think it's stupid.
No.
No, I don't.
The economy is stupid.
No, it's the economy, yeah.
Yeah, the economy. So, during these bad...
He looks like an alien, though.
He does look like an alien, I won't lie about that. If you kind of remembered back to, I taught 2 of you U.S. history. Adam, you seem to know much about this. If you look at the New Deal, a lot of the reforms that take place are about regulation and making sure that banks and other institutions can be regulated, monitored, so that way they can't do illegal deeds. So that way you can't have another crash. Oftentimes our memory is short, especially if one did not live through that period. So deregulation is touted as a way of getting rid of red tape, so that way businesses can grow and flourish. So if you look at some of the things that have been deregulated since the 70s, this starts before Republican rule. This starts under Carter rule. That's an important thing that the news media sometimes neglects. They don't neglect it because they're overly liberal, I think. I think they neglect it because in many ways it accelerates under Reagan. So we have aviation and energy, and then finance. Obviously, finance is one that we're dealing with quite a bit at the moment.
And energy was the 90s and around it, and aviation was, well, is now kind of too. Like, there are a lot of airlines that are kind of having to merge with other airlines. American is merging with, what is it, Delta? Is it Delta? Wasn't Delta United a few years ago? Yeah, is it United that they're merging with?
I think so, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and so aviation has been, they've been losing a lot of money for a while.
They've been losing a lot of money, but at the same time,
9/11,
one of the they were
even beforehand.
What you oftentimes hear is that 9/11 is an interesting case and point because the economy was going in recession before 9/11, but it's used then by all politicians as the reason why the recession happens. You can only have a boom for so long, but not every American's going to look at the economic data and figure it out, or even read about it. They're just going to be putting that big catastrophic thing in mind, and that's the reason why we had a downturn for 2 years. No, it made it much worse than it would have been, but it was already starting to become a recession. These are important things where you can, that have implications in everybody's life. The deregulation of aviation, though, did provide cheaper airfare for individuals than before. Whether or not airline companies have been able to...
TWA is flying funds, right? TWA is still in business, right?
And it makes it so other companies can come in and compete. So you have something like Virgin Atlantic that is a recent entry into the field. Energy is going to be something we debate in a little bit, and I want to hold you off on some of the things. Finance is obviously something good. What this does, though, is allow less oversight, and some would say creates unethical business practices, greed and other things, and just fraud, outright fraud in these things. The other huge part is cutting taxes. So you guys read about Proposition 13 in California that really limits, especially property values. But then there's the other thing, oftentimes, once again, politics, just like war, is about coming up with a name. So you get the death tax as well. Does anybody know what the death tax refers to?
Is it related to funerals or no?
No?
No, it's estate.
It's the estate. So when someone dies, they leave belongings behind, right? If it's over a certain amount, it's around $2 million now, the taxes that one must pay when inheriting that are quite large, but they're still inheriting it. So they say, conservatives who support the cutting of the death tax or the elimination of it say that it will make people invest in their houses more, so that way they'll be worth more and property values will raise. Obviously, that doesn't help if you have a collapsing housing market in general because of deregulation of finance.
Yeah.
So, if we move on, we can see some of the traditional family values. And what I want you guys to do is I want you to talk about your own beliefs. As you can see, this is a cartoon I found that says family values bobbleheads. These are people in the past maybe 15 years who have most talked about family values. So you have Newt Gingrich, who presently is probably jockeying for what?
Fourth wife?
Well, this actually says divorce number, and it leaves it blank. That's what he's holding behind his back. He's still married to his third wife.
Working his way to
Well, he's jockeying for the presidential nomination in 2012 against Obama. So, and he still talks about family values despite being married 3 times. We have Bill Bennett, who has basically made lots of money off of talking about conservative values. I don't know what he did besides offending. I don't know if he's been married more than once. We have Rush Limbaugh. What's he doing right here?
Popping pills.
He's popping pills. Obviously, he was addicted to pain medication, right?
Yeah.
He's been very clear about that. And we have Strom Thurmond.
Racist.
He's hiding behind the Confederate flag. He was a senator from South Carolina. He passed away, I think, before he turned 100, but he's a very old senator. So this is one person's view on family values and politicians who use this for their political gain. Because let's face it, saying family values and you believe in the family is a very easy thing to say, right?
Yeah, it's also very easy to be hypocritical.
It's also very easy to be hypocritical. And, what they're sometimes preaching in the respect for the family is in many ways unattainable for a lot of people. And that's why it's easy to pick on them, like this cartoonist did. And that's one thing. It's tough to live up to the standards that they set in their rhetoric. So, what I want you guys to do right now is maybe take a minute or two to think about how you feel about abortion. Now, there's many different ways you can go about this. Obviously, you can be unequivocal about it. Abortions should be a woman's right to choose in any sense. You can set limits. You can say that you're against it. You can be radically pro-choice in every case, or you can be pro-life. Why don't you just think for a minute about where you stand, but also why you stand there. Because the why is as important. And once you have a thought, maybe you can just share it. Con.